Hi everyone, this is Bushra Azhar from the Persuasion Revolution, and I'm here with day one of the 30 days of persuasion. So just to give you a little bit of a background, what are we doing here? We are going to be meeting every single day on the same time for one lesson on persuasion. Now, the idea is to give you something that you can go on and implement it right away. Like, I don't want to give you something that you will have to like, okay, what do I need? What do I do? This is something that you can implement right away. Okay, so if you don't know me, my name is Bushra Azhar. I'm the founder of the Persuasion Revolution, and I teach tiny businesses how to make big bucks using the psychology of persuasion. But also, and more importantly, I can't even believe I'm saying this, I am the best-selling author of a book that is an international bestseller in multiple categories, but the two categories that are most important for you and for me are the sales and selling and consumer behavior. So you can be slightly more confident about my ability to persuade you because it kind of makes sense. I wrote the international best-selling book on sales and selling. Okay, excellent. Thank you so much, people. If you're here and you like these, please take a moment to share this with someone who can benefit from this. I will be asking you to share this broadcast for the next 30 days. Now, what are we talking about today? Today, I'm sharing with you my overall framework when it comes to persuasion. And that framework, incidentally, is what my book is based on. So that framework is called Mass Persuasion Method Framework. And the idea behind the Mass Persuasion Method Framework is that human brain, that we're all trying to crawl inside, that we're all trying to persuade our kids, our husbands, our friends, our spouses, our clients, all those human brains. It is like an electric circuit. And if you want to spark attention in that electric circuit, the best way, actually the only way for you to do that is to activate the eight persuasion switches that I'm going to be talking about today. Now, these 8 persuasion switches are not typical of what you normally hear in persuasion. So most people, when they talk about persuasion, they talk a lot about external factors, right? So Robert Cialdini's book on influence persuasion, which is considered the Bible when it comes to persuasion, it's mostly talking about, it has a lot of elements that are external to the person who's being persuaded. But what I am talking about is these switches that exist in every human brain. So every human being who has a brain, they have these 8 switches. What your job as a persuader is to activate those switches. If you don't activate them, or if you activate a few of them and not all of them, the problem that you will face is that you will have people who are interested, slightly interested, but not dying to say yes to you, right? Because the switches are there. It's your job to activate them. And by the way, if you don't activate them, someone else will, and then you'll be sitting there like, what did I do wrong? Dude, this is what you did wrong. You did not activate the switch that person wanted to be activated to get a yes. Thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's now talk about what these switches are. And one thing that I should mention here, the way I look at persuasion and the way I would encourage all of you who are here to look at persuasion is not to look at persuasion as something that's icky or something that's slimy, something that someone is just out there to get you when they're trying to persuade you. Instead, I want you to look at persuasion as something, it's not something that one person does for another person. Instead, persuasion is something that a person does to herself in response to the stimulus that she's exposed to. So your job as a persuader is just to expose the other person to the right stimulus. And these 8 persuasion switches are in fact going to tell you exactly what switches you need to activate and what stimuli you need to expose the people to in order to activate those switches, right? That is what persuasion is all about, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so if you like this, if you're excited about these 8 persuasion switches with lots of examples that I'm going to be sharing with you, please take a moment to share this broadcast with someone who can benefit from this. I promise this will be so jam-packed that they will be eternally grateful to you for introducing this madness to them. Thank you so much, Tessie. It's not my birthday yet. It's my birthday month, but my birthday is on 7th, but thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so let's talk about the persuasion switches. The first one that I want to talk about is the prestige switch. So the prestige switch is really what defines anything that human beings do, right? So most people would make you believe that the reason people buy things is because they like things, or the reason people buy things is because they're desperate for a change or transformation or whatever. But here is the most interesting thing about human brain. The thing that drives them most, the thing that drives them more acutely than anything else is the need to be better than everyone else. And that is where the prestige switch comes in. And that is why this is the first switch that I'm talking about. Because if you can position your product, no matter what you're selling, I don't care if you're selling stained pantyhose, in which case, who are you? Or your used toothbrush. I don't care what you're selling. If you can position it as something that will enhance the prestige of your potential buyer, if you can activate that prestige switch, make them feel like they will be better, richer, leaner, more beautiful, more popular, smarter, richer, anything. If you can position your product in a way that it makes them feel like it will make them better than everyone else, then they will want to buy it. And obviously, there are two elements to it. There are the prestige boosters, things that make people want to feel better than everyone else, and prestige diminishers, where even if people are desperately want your solution, even if they desperately want to buy your product, they may not buy it because it diminishes their prestige. So prestige boosters and prestige diminishers, whenever you're trying to convince someone of something, please keep them in mind. And how can I position it in a way that this thing, this product, this service, this whatever I'm selling is going to make them feel that they're better than everyone else? And also, how do I position the competitor's product in a way that makes them feel like it could potentially diminish their prestige? Does that make sense? Does that make sense to you? Hey, thank you so much. Thank you, Ibrahim, for sharing the broadcast. Thank you, Sahar. Thank you, Relika. The recordings are going to be available here as well, but I would love for you to stay with me because I like you, Relika. I really like you. Oh my God, thank you so much. I just put together the backdrop because I was kind of getting tired of the shower curtain. So me and my minions, the two of us, the three of us, we just put this together. That's why arrows are a bit wonky. I'll fix them later. Okay, so does that make sense? Yes. Okay, so that is the first switch that you need to activate, the prestige switch. How do I position my product in a way that will make them feel like they are better than everyone else? And the biggest example that I give here all the time, every time, is that when you're trying to sell a lawnmower, don't position your lawnmower as something that will make their life easy, even though that is a positive point. But if you can position your lawnmower as something that will give them a lawn that everyone in the neighborhood will drool over, then that is the thing that will make people want to buy right away, because everyone wants to be the best house in the neighborhood, right? So that is switch number one, the prestige switch. Switch number two, which is also equally important, is the believability switch. So most people, when they're trying to sell something, they will tell you, you know what, your job is to convince the buyer that your product is the best, right? Your job is to convince your prospective buyer that you are the best. But there is one small problem with human brain that you need to understand. When humans want to invest in a solution, when they want to bring about a change, yes, they want to believe you and they want to believe your product. But what's stopping them from the sale, what's stopping them from buying, what is driving the no is not always you or your product. Instead, it is their lack of ability, their lack of believability in their own abilities. I will repeat that. The thing that stops them from buying is not you or your product. The thing that stops them from buying or changing their life is their lack of believability in their own ability, because they don't believe themselves. So instead of spending all your time trying to convince your buyers why you or your product is the greatest, spend some of the time convincing them why it would work for them, even if they believe it won't, right? This is going to change your business. This is going to change your life. So here's a very small hack on how to do that. No matter who you're talking to, no matter who you're selling to, no matter whether you're talking to your boss or your buyer or your husband or your children or whoever, when you're trying to sell them a solution, make it sound like they can do it. And the easiest way to do that is by using the word even if. When you use these two words, even if, yes, you can get a thin and sexy body, even if you don't want to step into the gym ever. Yes, you can write super persuasive, high converting copy, even if you can barely write a grocery list. Yes, you can have a beautiful, long lasting marriage, even if you're married to an asshole. No, that's not true. Because honestly, I'm not sure you can. So this choice of words, these two words, even if, it really activates the believability switch. And when the believability switch is activated, now they will believe anything because they believe in their own abilities. And this is what you need to drive home. Okay, does that make sense? And if it makes sense, why aren't you sharing the broadcast? Please share it with someone, because I trust me, the prestige switch and believability switch, just these two switches are forever going to change the way you talk to people, the way you write your social media posts, the way you write your sales pages, because they tap into a human need that most people don't talk about. Most people don't even fucking know about, right? So please go on and share this if you think this will be of benefit. The third switch that I want to talk about is the parity switch. Now, human beings by nature, whether they're trying to choose a name for the newborn baby, or they're trying to choose between two boyfriends, or they're trying to choose a new restaurant that they will go for lunch to, they're always comparing options. This is what human beings do. We're always comparing options. We are constantly comparing A versus B, right? So whenever you're trying to sell something, or even when you're talking to your manager for a raise, as an example, let's just say you're in the corporate and you're trying to convince your manager to give you the raise, that person, because that person is a human being, is constantly making a comparison between you or anyone else, or between you and the next best option, or between the option of giving you a raise and not giving you a raise, or between the option of saying yes or saying no, right? We're constantly doing this comparison, because this is what human beings are. This is what we do. We constantly do comparisons. So no matter what you're selling, no matter who you're selling to, always make sure that you activate the parity switch by stepping in and making the comparison. Don't wait for people to do the comparison in their heads, because trust me, they are going to do the comparison. That's what human beings do. We always compare. So if you're not going to facilitate that comparison, they are going to do the comparison on their own. And trust me, when they do the comparison, they may not arrive at the conclusion that you want them to arrive, which is to buy from you. If you want to make sure that the answer to your question is always a yes, make sure you facilitate the comparison. Make sure you hold them by the hand and let them see why you are the better option rather than any other option. And the best way to do that is the use of the phrase, would you rather? So no matter what you're comparing yourself against, always use this. Would you rather? Would you rather have this and do this? Or would you rather have this and do this? And in doing so, position yourself as the better alternative. I would love to use these switches. You have to use these switches, Jesse, to change your life. Nicole is here. My darling is here. Okay, excellent. So if you like this, if you agree with this, please give me a thumbs up or a heart or a share or something to make me feel better about my existence. Because honestly, I don't know whether you like it. I don't know whether you agree with me or you're like, what is she talking about? Or whether I'm stating the obvious. So actually, you know what? I'm not worried that I'm stating the obvious, because I'm pretty sure I'm not. I know that there are people who's constantly saying the same thing over and over again, and I don't belong to that group, so I'm not that worried. But give me a thumbs up if you enjoy this. Next switch is the curiosity switch. Now, the thing about curiosity switch, unfortunately, is that it is extremely overdone. It's extremely overdone. People use it so much that it has kind of lost its edge. But here's one thing you should know about human nature. Human beings cannot tolerate an open-ended situation. If there is an information gap, we will do anything to sweep in and close that information gap. This is what keeps us clicking on those BuzzFeed type clickbait articles when we know that they are clickbait, right? This information gap is your opportunity. So whatever you're trying to sell, whatever you're trying to get them to act, whenever you're trying to make them say, make them click or make them open something or make them pick up your phone or respond to your message, a curiosity switch can be activated by creating an information gap. Now, be really careful when you use it in your emails, because people have just absolutely killed it they've spoiled the landscape where people know a clickbait when they see it. So be a little bit careful in using it. Don't spoil your brand equity. But what's important is to use curiosity, because again, even though it is overdone, people still love information gaps. They love to fill those information gaps, and that is why you have to do it. If you don't mind, can you use jewelry examples, pretty please? Yes, I can, Jackie. Good. I'm glad that you asked. So I'll give you a jewelry example. So if I'm selling a piece of jewelry, I will activate more than anything else in that in that particular positioning, more than anything else, I will use the prestige switch, more than anything else. So when I describe the product, when I write the ad, when I write the copy, when I write the product description, I will constantly hint at how this piece of jewelry will make them better than everyone else in their circle. Always, 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 especially when I'm talking about, when I'm describing the benefits. So as such, there you may see and you think, oh, there are no benefits to jewelry. But the reality is that there is benefit to wearing jewelry. The benefit is that you will look better than everyone else. So no matter what the piece of jewelry is, even if it's an engagement ring that a man is that a man is giving to his fiancée, you can always position it as something that will make that person who is giving that engagement ring use proposing with that ring elevate their prestige, right? So always, 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 when it comes to jewelry, I would drive hard on prestige. Okay. Next up is the urgency switch. Now, urgency switch, again, you can create urgency when you're trying to sell, when you're trying people to take action. You can do that by creating scarcity. So if you're selling jewelry, for example, limited numbers, limited quantities, limited edition, how would you like to own a piece of jewelry that only 50 other people in the entire world own? That is urgency, that is scarcity, and that is scarcity tied in with prestige, right? So scarcity, limited time offer, limited number offer, instant gratification, fear of loss. Everyone is joining this particular bandwagon of this particular jewelry piece. Why would you leave yourself behind, right? So always create urgency, not just by, unfortunately, the fake use of fake timers, which everyone does. You can create real urgency by using real urgency metrics. There are many ways to do that, but again, from a human brain perspective, because human brains are natural procrastinators, because we're naturally drawn to just sitting on our asses and not doing anything, right? If you want people to take action, then the best way to do that is to give them some sort of a light of fire under their butt. Let's just put it this way. And the best way to light a fire under their butt is by creating urgency. So always, always, always create urgency. Otherwise, people are going to be, oh, I'll do it later. And the later never happens because people get distracted. The next one is the desirability switch. Now, the desirability switch is a switch that anyone, no matter what you're selling, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what your product is, even if you're selling nap time to your toddler, you can use desirability switch. And here is how desirability switch works. Desirability switch is all about painting a picture of how their life is going to be if they say yes. If they say yes to nap time, they can wake up and they can have their favorite Nutella sandwich that I don't let my kids eat. But oh my God, I would take 20 naps for a Nutella sandwich. But whatever, paint a picture of how their life is going to be after they have said yes. So after they have bought your signature necklace, paint a picture of how their life is going to be. They will step into a room, every eye will turn at them, people will clamor over to them and they will ask them, where did you get this unique piece of jewelry? Women hate her because she's wearing this unique jewelry that no one else has, and men love her because they're like, oh my God, who is this goddess? Whatever, painting a picture of how their life is going to be after they have said yes. This is what desirability switch is all about. And if you want to be a mean old bitch about it, a mean old bastard, depending on whether you're a man or a woman, you can also paint a picture of how their life is going to be if they don't say yes. So desirability is all about painting a picture of a life after they've said yes, and then also reminding them, by the way, the sorry ass losers that they will be if they don't say yes. Right? It is so powerful because when we step into a story, when we listen to a story where a picture is being painted, we feel like we're living that reality, even if you're not living that reality. That is called mirroring neurons in human brain. That kind of mirrors the emotions that the other person is describing. And when we feel like we're living that reality, once in my mind's eye, I have seen myself wearing that necklace. Once in my mind's eye, I've seen myself being the heart of the party and every head turning to me. Now I cannot not buy that piece of jewelry because now I want that reality to happen in real because I just saw it in my mind's eye and it was fantastic. Yes? How many times have you bought things because of that? Because I have bought things because of that desirability picture a lot of times. How would you suggest using urgency with the paid for strategy session? you can use urgency by bonus sales. You can use urgency by painting a picture of how the life is going to be. Sorry, you can use. You're talking about urgency, so you can use urgency by saying by giving us a special bonus that they will not have, by giving something extra that they will not have, by telling them that you're only taking on 5 clients if that's what you really are. There are many ways to do that, but again, not necessarily. Discount is not the only way to create urgency. The next one, and my favorite and the least used in online business, is the relatability switch. And relatability switch is all about creating a situation where people can relate to you at a human level, where you position your life or you share details about your life that make you seem less than perfect. Now, there is something in psychology called the pratfall effect, and the idea behind pratfall effect is that human beings that appear less than perfect, we are more driven to them. We like them more, we relate to them more. So if you are running a business where you are relying on people liking you, now sometimes you might be running a business where it doesn't really matter who you are, right? Let's just say you're running an e-commerce store, but it doesn't really matter who's selling that particular thing. But if you are a personal brand, if you are relying on people liking you in order to buy from you, then it is important to use relatability switch. Now, internet, unfortunately, is all about being perfect and perfection and this life which seems just way too perfect, right? The problem with painting a perfect life picture is that people cannot relate to you. If they cannot relate to you, and when you talk about something that hints at their pains, you will not. There is no way in hell where they will be able to say, I know, she gets me, right? They will never be able to believe she gets me. Yes, I do this a lot. This is what I do all the damn time. My entire brand is relatable. Every single thing that I share is relatable. So people, when they send emails, majority of love notes that I get, they're like, oh my God, I feel like you're talking to me. The exact same life I live. This is what relatability is all about. So instead of just pairing two perfect, share slices of your life that make you seem less than perfect, no matter what you're selling, because that, based on psychology, because pratfall effect tells us that human beings like other human beings that are less than perfect, it's a win-win. Do it. And the last one, which is my favorite and which I also use a lot, is the edutainment switch. And edutainment switch is all about positioning, no matter what you're selling, even if you're doing a webinar or a call or an email, anything that you do in business, it has to be done in a way that it stimulates, it provides mental stimulation. Now, the reason people are glued to their phones, the reason we're obsessed with social media is because our brains crave mental stimulation. Our brains crave entertainment. So if you are selling something and you can position that thing as something that is providing entertainment, why would not people want to say yes? Even when I write a webinar reminder email, that's a simple email saying, my webinar is going live in 30 minutes, please come and show up live. I make sure that I use some sort of entertainment, some sort of a line or some sort of a joke or something that sets it apart from the other emails. And people have come to expect that of my brand. And that is why they open my emails. But if they know that your email or your video or your live stream or anything is going to be what everyone typically does, they're gonna get bored. Your biggest fight on the internet is to make sure people don't get bored. That is what you are fighting. You need to get their attention, and the best way to get their attention is to make sure that you provide mental stimulation, and that's where edutainment switch comes in. Okay, so who took notes like a crazy person with these 8 switches? And who's like, oh God, I've heard this before, tell me something new. And who's like, oh my God, Bushra, you just changed my entire life. Either way, I would love for you to tell me because it'll make me happy. And trust me, you want to make me happy. You want to make me happy. Crazy notes, took notes. Yay, excellent. I'm so glad you guys took notes because this is what it's all about. The notes. Excellent. Okay, now let me tell you something that will actually take away the need to take notes. So like I mentioned at the start of this conversation, of this session, and I want to respect your time because I said I'm going to finish it in 30 minutes and I want to make sure I finish it in 30 minutes. So I mentioned at the start of this day's session that I am the best-selling author of a book that is #1 in multiple categories. And until yesterday, the book was only available on Kindle, but we just came out with a paperback version of the book, and I'm so excited about this. So if you want to grab a copy of the Mass Persuasion Method paperback, you should be able to see the link to do that just now. Go on, get the book, and once you have the book, you can take notes on the book. Now, the book itself comes with specific examples of not only each switch, but also specific examples of how you can use these switches in your video, in your social media, in your emails, in any, or even in your conversations with people, honestly. So this is the link for you to check it out. But one thing you should know is, and that's something that is really important that I should share, is that if you go on and order the book right now, it is what, I think $14, it's nothing. You also get access to the Mass Persuasion Method book bonuses that are about $800 worth of goodies. So the first one that you get if you decide to invest in a Mass Persuasion Method paperback is Email Persuasion Masterclass. So this is a masterclass that I don't sell. I've never sold it. It is not available for sale. It is only available if you decide to invest in the paperback for Mass Persuasion Method book. This is a complete masterclass that shows you how to basically persuade people over email, right? How to craft an emotional arc when you're trying to convince people over email. So that's bonus #1. That's $4.99 worth of bonuses. Bonus #2 is 5-minute persuasion makeover series. So these are four videos about sales page, about pages, emails, and social media. And again, all of these are meant to do just that. So we learned about the switches. Now you can get the book that actually gives you example of these switches, and you also get the bonuses. And with these bonuses, you can actually watch this 5-minute, 10-minute video for the Mass Persuasion Method, Mass Persuasion Makeover series, and actually create a sales page in 60 minutes, create your about page, create your social media post, and create your about pages. So that is bonus #2. And bonus #3 is a library of swipe files. So I have created a library of swipe files. The first swipe file is 1,000 plus email subject lines, so the best email subject lines to use. The second swipe file is 100 most persuasive videos that you can watch and take inspiration from. And the third one is conversation openers. So when you're trying to open a conversation, whether on social media or on email or even in person in networking situations, these openers are hypnotic. They're meant to create immediate attention for anyone who you're trying to convince, right? So there are 3 bonuses. You can get them all if you order the paperback for the Mass Persuasion Method book. I am really excited for you to check out the book. The book is, like I said, an international bestseller in multiple categories. I know that this is an amazing book. I don't even know, we have like 290, I think, book reviews. It is consistently at #1, #2 in multiple categories, and I'm very excited for you to check it out. Please also, when you check out the book, please also take a moment to leave a review, because that will really make me feel all warm and glowy inside. Hey YouTube, thank you so much for watching the video. If you like it, please subscribe to the channel. For the next 30 days, I will be sharing 1 video every single day. And also, it's just an awesome channel, I promise. Also, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and go check out the book.